It's time for another carrier product update. Tune in as we talk directly to the carriers about their new plans, any new network options they have, or which plan designs offer the most savings, and learn about the tools and resources they offer to help you generate more business. Visit our website to learn about all of the carriers we quote in our Carrier Product Update series.
Hello and welcome back to our Carrier Product Update series. This is a very special Carrier Product Update series. This is our Q4 Kickoff Summit. My name is Jason Powers and you are tuned in for the update from CIGNA. I'm joined by Alex Adams from CIGNA. Welcome back.
Well, thank you, Jason. It's so nice to be back here and visit with you all and talk more about CIGNA.
Yeah.
So my role at CIGNA is I work on the new business side for medical, dental, vision, and even worksite benefits. I work on fully insured, self-funded, and kind of everything in between. So really my product suite is pretty wide range, just focus kind of on that under 500 employer size segment.
That's great. And for those that aren't familiar with CIGNA, how would you describe the company's position in the market? I mean, you kind of talked through some of the products and case sizes that you work on, but where do you see CIGNA fit in the marketplace, group wise, or is there a specific type of product that you guys see more success with in this market, or vice versa, like ones that don't really, that you want to grow something or grow your position in the market with a different product?
Sure. So historically, CIGNA has primarily been a large group carrier. You know, you're talking historically.
Yeah.
Over the last several years, you know, we've really grown, specifically in the Kansas City kind of mid-America market. We've really grown down market as well, down to those smaller size employers. You know, for those without experience, we will run a tool similar to GRX that basically looks at pharmacy utilization.
Sure.
And primarily for those smaller groups, we will only quote level funding. We're not filed to quote fully insured below 50. So anything under 50 will quote level funding.
Got it.
And we've really grown substantially in that space. I would say in terms of, you know, all group size, CIGNA's primarily been more heavily ASO, more self-funded, but you know, especially in the Kansas City market, being more traditionally fully insured driven, we definitely have a pretty good split between fully insured and self-funding.
Yeah, I know we've seen CIGNA in the market in both spaces. In that 25 to 50 space, we see level funded, again, being able to get access to reporting, claims information, and put groups in position where they've got access to surplus. I think that's where CIGNA, and that's not tied to renewal. That is, regardless of whether or not they renew, they get access to their surplus on the level funded product.
Well, I wish, but no, the group
and
would
the 25
have
to
to
50
renew.
does have to renew to get the surplus on 25 to 50. Is that?
Regardless what group size.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. So any group size, it's kind of a way to, a sticky point, if you will, at renewal time.
Sure.
You know, around 70% or more of our groups do end up getting a surplus who are level funded. So, you know, generally it puts them in a harder position to leave. But I know, you know.
Sure. No, there's plenty of products out there that do the same thing. I just, I guess I had it in my head that there was a break in size point, and maybe I'm thinking graded funded and confusing the two.
Yeah,
which is why you're here to unconfuse the two. So, so the level funded products, 25 plus, right? Mm-hmm. Graded funded, we can do 51 plus.
Yep, you got it. You got it.
And then fully insured, 51 plus.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, what's going on? What's new with CIGNA that agents may not know for 2024?
Yeah. So you know, a few different things. So in terms of pharmacy, you know, given pharmacy is just driving up majority of costs these days, especially, you know, with those specialty drugs, we're constantly creating new programs for cost savings, cost containment, just any way to really work on honing in and containing those drug costs. I'll go into a few of those programs a little bit later on, but pharmacy is definitely a focus. and also wellness. So we're actually partnering with Virgin Pulse, and we've started that partnership already. So it's available now on any group that moves to CIGNA or who is with CIGNA currently. However, expected to be around April next year, we're going to have it fully integrated with MyCIGNA. So that's going to become the new incentive program and for wellness, and super user-friendly dashboard. I think it's going to be honestly really well received, and also, I hate to say this, but a little bit better than the program we have now called Motivate Me.
Yeah, that's great. That's exciting. I think wellness programs are something that we saw, I don't know, probably 15 years ago. There was a resurgence of, corporate wellness and tacking on that into the health plan. We haven't seen a lot of innovation in that space for the last few years. So making some change, but
Sure.
I feel like industry wide, it's become more of a talking point. So CIGNA committing to that Virgin Pulse program that's exciting news.
Well, and especially with Humana exiting,
Yeah.
their Go 365 was such a hit.
Yeah.
And so trying to have something that is comparable, I think Cigna's always been pretty robust on the wellness
Yeah.
aspect, but I think Virgin Pulse is just, kicking us further upstream.
I seem to remember Go 365 before it was Go 365 was Virgin Health Miles. So, Virgin Pulse, be interested to see how that program rolls out and what the platform looks like for CIGNA members. So that's exciting. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Go on.
yeah, and I was just going to say, too, to the prior slide, in terms of what kind of incentives and flexibility we can offer. So CIGNA isn't cut and dry. Here's your plan grids.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
We can actually customize. Now, we do have package plans available. And for some groups, it does make sense. It's easy to show multiple options, just at once. But we do have the flexibility to match exactly what they have currently.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think, there's no plan grid. There's no defined box. There's a lot of ways to run the proposal, which is why I think for agents out in the market, it's important to, when you're working with our office to get a CIGNA proposal, that we know what kind of plan design you're looking for, because we have so many different levers that we can pull within CIGNA's product design that we can kind of match up to what they currently have, or match up to the kind of program you want to deliver or solution you want to deliver to your clients. So
Absolutely.
it's good. So jump back real quick for me, Bob. So talk to me about admin fee credits. What are you guys doing there?
Yeah, absolutely. So really, the amount can vary. I've seen anywhere from, an equivalent of 2 to 4% of, total annual costs. I know for level funding, an admin fee credit would technically be a credit for the group on their bill towards admin.
Sure.
But when you're looking at like the overall premium equivalent for level funding, I've seen generally 2 to 4% worth. So it can be pretty substantial.
And that's that incentive. It comes about. How do they get an admin fee credit?
So it would be credited towards the client's first bill.
Right. Is it an incentive on the front end for new business, or is it is there a metric that like a $50 per member? What's the admin fee? What's the program, I guess?
Yeah, it's a incentive piece for new business. Sometimes we like to, or underwriting likes to, kind of preserve the rate basis if they can a little bit. So rather than digging and driving those rates down further, we can help offset the cost with a credit that, then that way it doesn't set them, in a deeper hole for next year renewal either.
Got it. So we're talking about new business sales, not a specified table of like it's a per head credit. That's underwriting figures out whatever that is on the proposal to be an incentive for that case to sell.
Correct. Yeah, kind of case by case basis.
Makes sense. Did you have some other stuff on that? I think there was a go back slide for me, Bob. There we go. I know about the wellness funds. But we kind of talked through where you're kind of moving toward the Virgin Pulse. Today there's a wellness fund that gets applied, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which also might be an incentive on the new business quote.
Yep.
But talk to me about tech credits. Is that relative to like Ben admin system for tech credits? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, you're exactly right. What we can do is we can provide an optional service fund is what the terminology we use internally, and yeah, then the client is able to use that towards, any really technology that they may be using today.
Okay, so Employee Navigator, Ease,
ADP.
system, Bernie Portal, Paylocity, whatever Ben admin system there's probably a cost associated with setting up that feed back and forth. So this is giving them credit to implement that, making eligibility transactions easier. Is that kind of the model for that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's exactly right. And some clients too, they may be starting, brand new with a new vendor, or maybe they don't even have a EDI feed set up currently. So it's just another kind of piece to help with that transition, help with the costs, the burden of moving carriers, and help kind of ease from that end.
And then second year rate caps. So again, case by case basis.
Yeah, case by case basis. These are always easier to get approved if we have claims experience we're working off of. So we're not kind of shooting in the dark.
Yeah.
But I've seen a few this year. Rate caps get approved. Definitely has to make sense.
Sure.
But certainly, I would push for it all day. You think about first year renewals, a lot of times, unless something crazy is going on, you've got to get closer in those single digits anyways.
Yeah.
So to me, it makes sense, and I know our client managers would feel the same way.
Yeah.
Just getting underwriting on board.
Yeah. So all tools, I think, for new business, right? For brokers to keep in mind as they're looking at CIGNA proposals, trying to figure out a way to position a CIGNA proposal in front of another option in the market.
Mm-hmm.
These are all things that they can come back. We can work with your team to see what kind of things apply, and it comes down to just communication from the broker about what it's going to take to get that group to really give CIGNA a fair assessment in the market. So
Yeah, absolutely.
cool, awesome, all good stuff. Okay, now you can go to the next slide, Bob. What are we looking at here?
So yeah, I think these 4 pillars kind of just really categorize or do a good job summarizing really the goal and focus that CIGNA has on our clients and even potential new clients. So you think about, engaging your employees, making sure that you've got a healthy work culture. So, do you have a wellness plan in place? And if not, how can we help you with that? How can we help you customize a wellness roadmap to maybe create a healthier workplace, maybe get some employees to be more active, some more engaged in preventative health?
Sure.
You think about financial health for the company, some funding mechanisms that will provide a share in any potential profit or surplus, so that carrier is not retaining everything. And we offer this both on the fully insured and self-funded chastity. And then, of course, too, preparing for the future. So what we mean by this is, in terms of reporting and claims data that you're able to get from a carrier, that really helps you prepare and budget throughout the year as you're approaching that next renewal. And in terms of strategy, are there any drugs on here that maybe we could add this copay assistance program to help kind of reduce those costs for both the plan and the member. So really everything from the front end of pre-enrollment, some of the resources and services that we have available to help make that transition easy, smooth, and seamless, but also, the goals that CIGNA has while you're with us in terms of data, wellness, just getting your culture both healthier and financially healthy too.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so here, just kind of highlighting the integration aspect. With CIGNA, we do have to have everything integrated, at least for employers that are under 500. And I think there's a lot of value to this, just from the aspect that you can view that whole person health. You can view everything from pharmacy claims, behavioral, medical. And then the other thing is we now own ESI, so there's a lot of seamless interaction, amongst different departments within CIGNA to make sure that there are no gaps in coverage.
Yeah, and the integration with behavioral health now, so and that's not necessarily new. That's something that that really showcasing inside the product portfolio, but a lot of different vendors that I think are popular in the market, things that people are talking about. I see Talkspace on there. Those are all integrated now. Is that's across the enterprise, level funded, graded funded, and the fully insured?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and talking to that behavioral health piece, we have a program called Emotional Well-Being, which is baked into everything for every client under 500 eligible employees. And this is, you can kind of think of it as, or similar to a mini EAP. So it includes 3 face-to-face visits, unlimited telephonic counseling, and then even an unlimited chat feature. And there's some different aspects, such as access to legal and financial services.
Sure.
We can help guide there. But yeah, that's built in, no additional cost.
Yeah, sort of the tradition, like you said, the traditional EAP lines, but then doing some of the things that have really come to the forefront based on the last 3 or 4 years we've all been all experienced, that nobody likes to talk about.
Right.
But that's really shined a light in an area that there wasn't a lot of focus and attention, and so I think it's a great effort to pull those into your employee benefits platform. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, and even some of those programs listed below, like Happify,
Yeah.
Talkspace, Prevail, those are all so easily accessible in just the palm of your hand, via a smartphone on the CIGNA app. So there's all these integrated features now that can help, with stress relief, depression, anxiety, even just how you can contact someone in EAP, an EAP provider just from your phone.
Yeah.
It's incredible these days.
Yeah, it really is. And the one guide. So I remember talking about this last year, and I need to ferment in my mind. Again, this is across the enterprise. This is level funded, graded funded, fully insured.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep. On every single client. So this, I'm trying to think when we rolled out one guide. We initially did a pilot and just realized truly how successful and just the extensive amount of positive feedback that we received. I want to say this was 4, 5, 6 years ago, but it was just so positive that we actually, enrolled or rolled it out to every single client, and going forward, that's the case too. A lot of other clients will potentially seek this service from an outside vendor as like
Right.
a buy-up, or maybe some other carriers offer this kind of service model as a buy-up for larger employers, as you go up market. But at CIGNA, we think about clients that are 25 lives just the same as if you're 500. So we really want to encompass and provide that same quality of service to clients regardless the size.
Yeah.
And it's not your typical 1-800-GET-LOST insurance number.
Right.
These guides are actually trained, even from an emotional standpoint. So if they're dealing with a situation, maybe someone was diagnosed with disease or chronic condition, they're trained to really be there from like an empathetic and emotional standpoint to help maybe do a soft transfer to a case manager or a nurse line. But they're also there for the proactivity piece. So best next steps is what we like to call it. So maybe they can see that this individual who called in hasn't taken their insulin in the last few months. Well, what they may say is, hey, I notice you're taking XYZ insulin. Well, if you take one on this list that's under our patient assurance program, which covers quite a few of the most common, your cost will only be $25 a month. So, some members may not be aware of some of the programs that Cigna has.
Right.
So I think making that proactive, effort to show an individual who may not be that benefit savvy, I think it's crucial.
Well, it gives them, again, from an advocacy perspective, I think it gives them talking points to go back and speak to their physician about. I'm sure the Cigna guide can also reach out to that provider and talk about alternatives. Those are all things that an individual with a condition like that probably doesn't have the knowledge or ammunition really to talk to their provider. They're kind of lost in that space, and so having an advocate on their behalf walk them through what those options might look like, not only from a cost saving perspective, but it could be just better overall for them personally as an individual, the access to the medication or the extra services. I think just it removes a lot of that stress and anxiety that comes with trying to navigate being diagnosed with a disease like you said and going at it alone. So.
Well, sure. And you think about some of these high cost conditions, and you may be introduced to this new medication and think, oh my gosh, one, how do I even take care of this medication? Does it have to be stored in the fridge? Does my diet have to change? So through our specialty pharmacy at Credo, we actually have therapeutic resource centers that have basically an entire team and army for these individuals, from a dietitian to a pharmacist to a nurse. So really, we want to focus on providing every angle of support that we can for those individuals.
That's great.
Well, and this, I think, kind of flows right into one guide, because I didn't mention on the pre-enrollment side, we do have a pre-enrollment line available.
So prospective cases looking at Cigna, those individuals can call the pre-enrollment number, which is connecting them to one guide and kind of walk through, hey, these are my plan options. This is my situation personally. Help me figure out, questions they might have about providers, access to care, the formulary, those kind of research, easing the concerns of the employees, right?
Yeah, no, you hit it, Jason. So one of
I got something right.
Way to go.
It's a long day. I take the wins when I can.
So in terms of, switching carriers and implementation, it's scary, right? For not only employers and HR, but it's also scary for agents, making sure that it doesn't reflect poorly upon them, and making sure that the carrier has their back and can make that transition seamless, and also take, some of that weight off of their shoulders. And that's one of our goals with, some of these resources that we can provide during open enrollment. One of the main ones being that 24/7 pre-enrollment line. And you hit it on the head. So if I'm an employee of XYZ company, and I'm with maybe United Healthcare currently and moving to Cigna, let's say I'm taking 2 different medications, got kids, I can call in, explain my situation. Maybe I'm looking at potentially a narrow network option. And I can ask, hey, is my provider in network? Is it just in the broad network, or is it in the Local Plus network too? How would my medications be covered? And that one guide representative can really help guide through that decision-making process. They're not going to say, yeah, you should choose this. But, they will certainly help point you in the right direction and show you your options, but also, how certain things are covered on various plans being offered to really help make that good decision for you.
Yeah, it's just it's so much more confusing than it used to be, right? I mean, and more employers are offering more robust plan designs, more options to choose from, and so it does take time. I think it's a smart move for Cigna to offer that kind of service to help ease the transition, like you say, with helps the broker in their job and their role as the advisor. Helps that HR department. Certainly reinforces the owner's decision to choose Cigna to have that extra layer of service available for their members. So it's great.
Absolutely. So this is really just a kind of a dashboard vision of what my CIGNA looks like. So whenever we have a new client, we really push and try to communicate the importance of each individual creating or activating their MyCIGNA account. So as you can see here, there's so many different features. It's super user friendly. Really have everything at your fingertips, whether it's on a laptop or on a personal cell phone. But we've got everything from cost transparency tools. You can access the pre-enrollment line through, or even customer service line through MyCIGNA. Access virtual care, search for providers, and it'll actually, when you search for a provider, let's say I'm looking in Kansas City specifically, it'll actually put the highest quality providers at the top. So it's just our system and directory is kind of trained or set up that way to put the top quality at the top, which is nice for those who may not have a primary care doctor, currently, and it helps give them the best options first.
Awesome. MD Live. So I'm guessing telehealth here.
Yep.
Not just medical, but also behavioral health, right? What is there anything new going on with MD Live? Is it
not new per se? We actually own MD Live now.
Okay, so that is new.
So yeah, that piece may be new.
Yeah.
But I would say in terms of what's new, I think just continuing to expand. Dermatology used to not be available through virtual care. Even I don't even think it's on here, but dental now we have.
I have seen
virtual.
That. Yeah, I have seen that.
Well, and you may ask, like, how? Yeah. You think about, okay, you've got a kid or yourself, on a Friday night or Saturday. All of a sudden, you've got this horrible tooth pain. Well, you can call in, and they can call in, if it's something you don't need, to go to the ER for, you're not bleeding, you're not dying. They can call in a prescription, even if it's just a little bit of pain medication to get you through the weekend until Monday when you can actually see a dentist.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed the chronic care management for hypertension, which is something that I think that virtual health overall is just continuing to grow and expand. And I say it every time we do these sessions that I think back to before the pandemic, before when telehealth was just it's out there, nobody really uses it, nobody trusts it, and now people depend on it because it is a lot easier. You don't have to worry about picking something else up while you're at the doctor's office or at the urgent care or worse at the emergency room. And so seeing that is expanded into chronic care management for hypertension is here's my HIPAA violation of myself, someone with high blood pressure, that I've got to go in twice a year to have my numbers checked, get an idea of where things are with my medication, to be able to kind of expand the services. I think we'll continue to see that grow over time, and especially if you own MD Live now, that's certainly probably part of the roadmap for expansion of virtual services.
Absolutely. Well, and something else to keep in mind too is you think about how hard it is to get into some of these appointments with providers now. And so a lot of times you can get in much quicker through a virtual appointment. And so, you think about too, just fitting it in your work day or work week and being able to just do it from home, especially with a lot of people still working from home. It just really, is so much more convenient. And I think continuing to grow and evolve as we go forward.
Yeah. I've used my own telemedicine benefit in the car on the way to the airport. So
it's what it's there for.
Yeah.
Well, I know I touched on this earlier, our emotional well-being program, but I really think the key thing to just take away from this is that we believe in it so much that it is truly included on every group that you will work on with me.
Yeah, that's great.
So health engagement, we, as I mentioned, are partnering with Virgin Pulse, and will be fully integrating Virgin Pulse with my CIGNA next year. But even to take a step back with just looking at health engagement and how CIGNA does it differently. So we have a dedicated health engagement consultant for every single client. So again, kind of going back to making those smaller size employers feel like a large employer and treating them the same, we have a dedicated person internally to that group that'll help or can help tailor a specialized or specific wellness plan that works for them. Maybe they have certain goals or needs. Maybe they want to do an employer fitness challenge. Well, our dedicated health engagement consultants can really help guide them on how to get started, but also help direct them on how to use that wellness fund that they may have available. So there's so many ways that can be used. That engagement consultant is really there to be that wellness guide and help achieve their and any wellness goals that they may have.
Yeah, and for brokers, I think that's a huge benefit, because brokers are focused on benefit design, rates, underwriting, enrollment, service delivery, like all those things. And then they're often approached by a group that wants to engage in wellness, may not like the off-the-shelf wellness programs. And CIGNA is unique in that you don't necessarily just have this, here's our model, that take it or leave it.
Right. Go try to figure it out.
Yeah. It's you really do, and it's so unless you've experienced it as a broker with CIGNA, it's really hard to picture it. But you do. You've got a dedicated person assigned to that account whose role is to build and help support whatever that wellness program is on behalf of that client, and help them really come to some sort of idea of how to deliver that to their members and get engagement. So it's just a different model that, like you mentioned, the Humana program and that leaving a void in the market, especially upstream, even larger cases that I think were really engaged in some of those benefits of Go365, having an individual assigned to help build out that model, and then packaging that with whatever's coming down the pike with Virgin Pulse. I'm excited about that. I really am excited to see what that looks like. But I think it just gives them that extra tool in their bag. So it's good stuff.
Absolutely.
And here we are in all the products we talked about, right? Fully insured. What's Fully Insured Plus? You got to talk me through that one.
Yeah, this is, I think, my favorite slide, if I'm being honest. I think, I do think we're unique in this space. We offer participating contracts both on the fully insured and, of course, self-funding too. But that Fully Insured Plus, that's a biggie for us. So we rolled this out, I want to say June or July of 2022.
Okay.
So we can quote Fully Insured Plus down to 51 lives, and I need a drum roll for this. We can provide paid monthly reporting and potential for surplus.
In the Fully Insured Plus product.
Correct. Yeah, so fully insured contract.
Paid claim reporting.
Yep.
And an opportunity for surplus on a fully insured product.
Correct.
You heard it here.
Yeah.
I didn't drum roll, but because I don't want to destroy your ears because these microphones are sensitive. But no, that's great. So this was rolled out last year. I don't remember.
Or maybe even 2 years ago. Now that I think about it, but yeah, and a lot of people will ask, what's the difference between that and level funding? Well, one is on a fully insured basis. So of course, Fully Insured Plus is subject to state mandates. Maybe a little less flexible on certain benefits or certain programs that we have to offer specifically to pharmacy.
Yeah.
And level funding, of course, being on an ASO contract, I do think is more flexible. I also think, you got PCORI fees. Those are the biggest differences. You know, in terms of price, they're really pretty close. I would say fully insured plus maybe a hair less, but again, really, really comparable from that standpoint.
And when looking at a case, I'm assuming we can show fully insured plus and a level funded option for the same group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Go through the process. Really give the opportunity to the broker to show comparison and contrast the difference between the two price wise, not just price wise, but maybe the opportunity for the surplus too, and flexibility, like you said, flexibility and design. That's at least it's not a situation where they've got to choose one of those streams, right? They can show multiple options from CIGNA. That way, they've got the right, they know they got the right plan to fit the need for that employer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We want to make sure we can, fit the right plan to the right client.
Yep. Wrap us up here. What we got here? Integrated approach for controlling drug costs. So this is the pharmacy piece we were talking about.
Yep. Yeah. So to kind of highlight what we were saying earlier, just about helping control pharmacy costs. So you'll see on the right hand side, there's some of these programs that we've rolled out over the past few years, but also recently and even going forward. I think more to come. A few of these, I won't go through, all of them by any means, but a couple to really take away from here is the patient assurance program, for example. And I did touch on this a little bit when I was talking through one guide, but this caps the cost of insulin at $25 for a 30-day supply or $75 for a 90-day supply. And the big kicker here is it applies on HSA plans.
That is good. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a huge benefit.
Absolutely. Well, and it just makes sure or helps, people continue taking their insulin and prevent things from further escalating or getting worse.
That's great.
Something else here is the drug adherence program. This we call our Preventative Plus program, and this is something that now going forward, I personally ask to include on every single account. And what this is, specifically on HSA plans where, a customer may be enrolled because maybe that's the best one or the cheapest one that they can afford, or, maybe they just like the design of the HSA plan. But maybe they have preventative medications that they have to take. Well, this Preventative Plus program, we're able to include so that the customer share for these, there's a long list of preventative medications, is $0. So really it's a way to make sure people are staying on top of their preventative medications and making sure it's affordable.
Remove the barrier of cost.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Absolutely. And now Embark. So kind of tailoring off the last pharmacy slide, I think we talked about this a little bit last year.
Yeah. This was, I think it was new last year for gene therapies, and maybe have some expansion to some new drugs.
Yeah, well, actually, if you flip to the next slide, it lists so far, at least for 2023, the gene therapy drugs that are included. You'll see it's really expanded. I want to say initially it started at 2.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but yeah, it's really grown substantially. And, you think about the cost of one of these gene therapy drugs. I mean,
incredibly expensive.
$3.5 million.
Yeah.
And being able to essentially shield not only the member who may be getting this drug, but also the plan, the group. This shields their experience and completely pulls that out and is paid for from the pool. It's really an incredible program that I truly believe is a big differentiator for CIGNA.
Yeah, and it's a proactive. I think it's great that CIGNA's being proactive on it, because I saw some crazy statistic earlier this year about the number of gene therapies that are in line for approval, and the estimated cost for each one of these. It's just scary to think where we're heading with cost of care on in this segment, but incredible to think about what it does to someone who may suffer from one of these genetic disorders and the life-changing therapy that comes with it. So it's great to see CIGNA be proactive in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious to see, going forward, I'm sure this list will just keep expanding and, new gene therapies will keep coming out.
Yeah. Well, I think that wraps us up. Alex, any parting words of wisdom for brokers before they head out to the crazy busy I'm sure they're all already in it.
I
By the
know,
time
right?
they're watching this, right?
Well, first off, thank you so much for the opportunity, Jason.
Thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure.
Appreciate
And, I will say something to keep in mind is just truly all the services and values that are included in every proposal that we send out. That can make at times us more expensive, including just the customer service model that we have on every single account. But I will tell you, when groups are with CIGNA, of course you have your one-offs, but usually they're pretty happy.
Yeah. It's great stuff. Well, Alex, thank you for being part of it. I always appreciate learning what's new at CIGNA, what's going on. If we can help you with your CIGNA proposals, be sure to reach out to our quoting team. Down below this video, you'll see links to marketing materials that you can download to use in your presentations to prospects and clients when you're presenting CIGNA's solutions. Again, I'm Jason Powers with Legacy Brokers. We appreciate you being here for our Q4 Kickoff Summit. We'll see you next time. Until then, happy selling.
Thank you for watching this edition of our Carrier Product Update series. Visit our website to watch other episodes.